Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When we were trying to get Young Black Equestrians, the podcast, off the ground, we had so many questions like how do you record an episode? And how do you get the podcast distributed out to everyone so that they can listen? How do you even make money from podcasting? We found out that you could do that. That was something that I did not know could happen. Well, the answer to all of those questions I found on Anchor. Anchor is a one stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it is 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. I love using Anchor. It's super easy to upload your podcast. It's very user friendly, has a user friendly interface, and you can even make money by doing sponsorships. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start and join me in the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. You are now listening to Young Black Equestrians, the podcast, with your hosts, Aubriana Johnson and Caitlin Gooch.
We're going to get through this. It's okay. And I'll edit all this stuff out. All right. So, this is the first episode of the Young Black Equestrians podcast with myself, Aubriana Johnson, and my co-host,
Caitlin Gooch.
Yeah. So, first, we just wanted to start off telling our listeners about ourselves and kind of why we started this podcast, our vision for it, and how you can support us and help us through this thing. So, I started riding when I was 7, doing lessons, hunter jumper, and then my parents reminded me how expensive the lessons were, and I stopped. And then I had a cousin get into the whole trail ride scene, and I started back again in high school. And I actually, just when I was at my parents' today, saw a picture from my first trail ride, May 13th, Ed Hawkins Trail Ride, 2008.
That's history.
History! I got it! I'm like, I've been on the trail ride scene for 10 years at this point. So, that's super exciting. But now, I went to NC State and got a bachelor's degree in animal science with an emphasis in equine health. Did an equine health program and all that jazz, and now I'm in grad school kind of for the same kind of thing. One Health, which is animal, human, and environmental health put together. So, yeah. Enough about me.
This is awesome because we have two different backgrounds. Because I started just having horses. So my dad had me on a horse at 3 years old. That is not the recommended age that you start.
No.
the recommended age, according to the book, is 7. But anyway, we started out with horses. Started out on the trail rides. Everybody know my dad, Gooch. But for those who don't know, he's like Mr. Bossman out there. I've only done trail rides up until last year. Yeah, up until last year, I participated in a rodeo relay. And last year, I started teaching horseback riding lessons. I've never had a lesson. Well, I've never had a lesson as an adolescent. I've had a lesson as an adult. And it was pretty cool. It's different, just learning all the technical stuff. But that's how I'm turning into this technical person. Because it's actually a lot safer.
Yeah, and having somebody watch you and watch what you're doing, and you're like, I asked you to do this and you didn't even do it. And they're like, well, you thought you asked, but your inside leg wasn't on the outside right rein pulling to the left. all kinds of technical stuff. So,
and I went to East Carolina University, which is in Greenville, North Carolina. I went in studying pre-vet, then I changed it to sociology. So I have a bachelor's degree in sociology, and I'm in grad school for marriage and family therapy. So,
post-grad education about that. So, initially I reached out to Caitlin because I currently with work, I'm in like small animal medicine. I manage a pet resort, which is really nice. It's fun. I get to do a lot of stuff, but it's not where my passion lies. My passion lies with horses. And I just feel the need to kind of get back into what I enjoy the most. So I reached out to Caitlin because I've tried to do this in the past, kind of going out on the trail ride scene and like educating my peers about equine health and, things I'm passionate about. And, it's well received. I had a lot of people support me and, encourage me to do it. But, at the end of the day, people will do what they want to do. Mm-hmm. And, I got tired of putting so much effort into something that didn't seem to have as much return. Not that it had to be monetary or anything like that, but, nothing changed. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like when you know better, you do better. But if you're not willing to know better, then, why should I be wasting my time trying to help? So we wanted to do this podcast so that, we could kind of just get a listening ear out for especially people our age. Mm-hmm. A lot of talk in meetings, I'm not going to say which meetings, but is about like, what is the future, and we are the future. We are the future of the trail riding groups that we love so much. We're the future of equestrianism as a sport. Minorities in that sport, that representation for, kids coming up. Mm-hmm. So we really wanted to do something big and do something that would, have an impact. Make an impact. So we started with this podcast.
Which has an awesome name.
Yeah. I mean, it just started off with like, I'm going to make a t-shirt. It's like, you know what? No, we about to do something with this. So definitely, we battled between a couple names. It was like, this is so good, but this is so much better. Mm-hmm. So, with this podcast, the three kind of words that I'm like stuck on is passion, culture, and lifestyle. And I mean, passion, it is what it is. Horses, that's it. It. So we're going to talk about them like a lot. And we're going to share, things that we've learned, things that are correct, things that we learned that were incorrect. That
oh my goodness.
That can be done better.
I'm gonna say how it is. Everything we learned is wrong.
Yeah.
To an extent, I guess.
To an extent,
But I have noticed. I don't know if this applies to anybody else, but like today when I went to the horse bowl, the questions they were asking, I knew the answer, but for some of them, I might not have known the technical answer. But I could see where, like, for example, they had to list. They had to list certain parasites or worms, I think. And one of them was bot worms. Well, I know what bots are because we are basically backyard cowboys and bots are definitely on our horses. Whereas them, they probably never even seen a bot.
Because the horses are up in stalls with automatic fly spray systems and get fly sprayed twice a day and they don't have no flies. Yes. I've been in them,
So it's like those differences in that, it's a large gap. But it's like I'm sitting there, I know the same information as them, but we have totally different backgrounds.
Completely different experiences. But, I mean, it's not that, like, ours is wrong. You know, most of the time, it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different. Just like, you know, just having a different language, you know. There might be something in our language, day-to-day language, air quotes, that's, you know, that has a technical term, but, like, at the end of the day, as long as we're talking about the same thing. I mean, you know. Anyway. So, passion, culture, you know, talking about, you know, trail ride scene, and like I used to show a little bit and talking about my experiences there, because that was special, especially being the only black girl there and being the only black girl with a walking horse, which is, I like triple minority. Well, not, I guess women aren't minorities in show world, but a black girl with a walking horse in a show full of white girls and quarter horses and appendix and thoroughbreds. So it was special. And he was a paint, and you know, they all had all bays and chestnuts, you know, and occasional gray. But you know, that's just, yeah, we'll delve into that too. And then lifestyle, you know, I feel like, you know, as we get a little bit more involved in the community, in the 4-H group, going to different trail rides and different horse events, we can, you know, just share our experiences there, maybe do a little bit of vlogging there. And, yeah, that'll kind of be the whole basis of this here podcast here.
Yeah, and definitely bring in those voices that...
Yeah.
Well, everybody's, you know, voice matters, but there are some voices and there's some history and there's some, I guess, teachings that we need to learn that's not being passed down. Something's missing. Like, a lot of our elders in our trail ride community have died, and we haven't learned nothing that they've known. Mm-hmm. Like, all that they lived for so long, it has went to the grave with them. Mm-hmm. And I say it went with them because a lot of times their own kids probably didn't ride, or their grandkids. Mm-hmm. But we were around them, and now, you know, like, they getting older. Y'all getting older.
Yeah. I mean, it's time not to pass the torch, but to at least share the torch with the younger generation, because I know personally, I don't see, like, those leadership roles, like, becoming available, you know, like, you just holding on for dear life, like, this is my club, we're not doing anything different, we've been doing this since the 70s, like, I get it, I understand 100%, but it's legacy, like, you want it to go on forever and ever, so...
Right,
you know.
Like, I want my kids to be excited to be like, oh, shoot, it's Friday, we about to go to the trail ride, I'm going to do everything I need to do in school this week so I can ride, so I can be there. Because that's how I used to be. Like, I get off the bus and run to the RV. The RV was ready, the trailer hooked, everything. Like, all I had to do was get my daddy horse and let's go. Sometimes, even then, when I was younger, my cousins went with us. Like, it was the whole family out there on the trail ride.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, so we started, my family, like, camping out because my brother was in Boy Scouts. And so we started in Cub Scouts, like the little ones, and like we started with a tent. And my daddy was like, no, I'm grown, I'm not about this tent life. So we got like the condo apartment tent that had like 3 rooms. And then he's got his kerosene heater and griddles and stuff. And, like, the other families are making, like, they got their boiling water over the fire, making oatmeal. But we had sausage and eggs. My daddy's not eating no oatmeal in the woods. And so, I mean, it just progressed from there. Then my cousin got into the trail ride thing. And I think we maybe tented one time. And my daddy was like, I need a camper. Got a camper. I need a bigger camper. Got a bigger camper. And then been rolling ever since. I need a truck to pull this camper. Got a truck to pull the camper. And, I mean, it's a family thing. Like, and I feel like it should be, like, you know, wanting to continue that. Not, like, going to these events and not having good experiences. And, you know, like, I'm only going to 4 during this year. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's how I am. Simply because I am, and I feel like I'm looked at as like bougie black girl, but
You ain't the only one.
I am very particular about my horses, and when I see like people or horses that look like their owners don't care about them like I do, okay, my horse isn't gonna be here for very long because I care about him, and I'm broke. Like, I don't have money for him to be sick. I work very hard for him not to be sick and to just go to these rides where coggins aren't required. Horses look like crap with these big old Negroes on them. I
shouldn't be laughing at that.
I know we getting a real quick.
Right on the first episode.
On the first
how
episode,
you like that?
yeah. It just is not something that I can continue. I can go to all of them.
Yeah.
There's a select few, and I'm sure we know who they are. But I just want to make sure that I'm, protecting me.
That's fine, because you have a standard.
Yeah, that's right. Wait, I got standards.
Our rides should have standards. I mean, people go to these other places to ride, and I'm sure you have to pay a fee. Mm-hmm. You probably have to make sure your horse got all their papers.
You got to pay for food.
Yeah, you got to pay for your own food. I mean, there's rides that are like that, and people pack them out. So why are ours treated any differently?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think some of us do care about our horses, too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure, at the clinics that you were doing, we could have learned a whole lot about diseases that we don't even know of, or things that we could just do to prevent, certain things from happening, especially if it gets expensive, because horses are already expensive.
Right,
food and hay.
Mm-hmm. And prevention is so much less expensive than treatment or cure, So I just, I'm with you 100% there. So we definitely have a lot to say when it comes to these things. So but yeah, like you said, history, getting those voices in. We're definitely looking to interview some people who are minorities in the equestrian field, whether it be here in North Carolina or around the world, around the United States, everybody. So if you're interested in hopping in on this podcast, definitely shoot us an email, youngblack@gmail.com, or send us a DM, direct message, if you don't know what that means, to Instagram or our Facebook page at the same names, at Young Black Equestrians TP. That stands for the podcast, and you can schedule something with us, and we'll do some talking about all these things, being minorities in this field. So
I was about to say, it does not go down in the DMs, so don't try it.
Yes, it does not go down in the DMs. We're gonna have an episode on that, because we talked about this. How come every time like you comment on somebody's picture that has horsey fellas in it, or horsey ladies in it,
horsey,
and you comment or like, and then your inbox is full of requests, like, what do you think this is? It doesn't matter how many mutual friends we have.
Right.
I just wanted to like her picture. I just wanted to say her horse is cute and go on with my life.
Right.
Now
Can I be at peace?
Right. I gotta sit here and get all these friend requests. So, So, I do want to mention in the first episode about your 4-H group. So if you want to talk a little bit about that, give them a little shine.
So last year I started my 4-H group, and I started with, I think, 5 or 7 kids, and now I'm pretty sure I'm reaching 20. So basically 4-H, it's a huge umbrella with a lot of different clubs up under it. So mine specifically focuses on horses, horse care, horse safety. There's other 4-H clubs, like there's a 4-H club about robotics, You could do one for music, one for chess. You could do one on fashion. It don't matter. But we just got chartered last week. Yeah. So we are official. We in there. Yeah, so now I'm really just teaching kids, that proper way or that technical way just to be safe. That's the number one thing. Because I know growing up, everything that we did wasn't safe. And, you kind of pass those things down. So it's like, okay, kids love horses. I have a bunch of them because of my dad. So some of them are just sitting in the pasture. Well, let's do something with them. Let's bring the kids out. They can be there. They can have fun. And they can learn how to be safe around horses. Because a lot of times, and people don't understand this, is when a kid falls off a horse or get hurt, they will be scared. They won't want to get back on. They'll be a lot more timid. They might still seem like they're excited, but it's certain things that they will not do around horses. So let's not, ruin that and foster this amazing love and passion that kids often have. And it's like a natural thing. Like even the last group that came out, the teens, it was a boy. I only had one male come out, and at first he wasn't interested, and then he was like, oh, this is dope. This is really cool. So now, he wants to come back out. And it's not something I forced on him. I was just like, okay, guys, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to show y'all how to walk, towards a horse, because you're supposed to walk towards a horse's shoulder, and then how you can introduce yourself. And then I'm going to teach y'all about these grooming tools, and then we're going to groom her, everybody get comfortable, and we just out there having a good time. And then I showed them how to saddle up a horse. They learned it on the first go. Let me tell you something. My dad and some of my other cowboy brothers, they used to always saddle up my horse. I never did it until I was like a teenager. So for them to be, tweens and teenagers already saddling up a horse, that's amazing to me.
Yeah. And that's something like the lady that taught me, like, my first, 2 or 3 lessons, I kind of was upset. Like, I didn't ride a horse for the first 2 or 3 lessons.
That's how my lessons
I had to sit there and brush the horse, pick out his feet, know how to do that safely. And like you said, grooming tools. I had to know the parts of the saddle.
Yep.
And I had to, at 7, I had to be able to saddle, like, pull a girth tight myself. And if I got on and that saddle slipped, I had to get right back off and do it again. She was like, I'm not saddling up your horse for you to ride. You will do it. And I was talking about a white lady. She went to school with my daddy. She was a little rough around the edges, but she was amazing. So, I 100% commend what you're doing, and I can't wait to get involved in that because, I'm not around a lot of kids a lot, but I do like teaching and educating. So that's going to be an exciting new project for me.
And it probably, your lessons, it probably taught you how to respect horses even more. Because a lot of times, not saying that because I didn't do all that, I didn't, but I had to groom my dad's horse. He was like, okay, if I'm pulling the horses here, if I'm feeding your butt, you gonna do something, so if I have a student just come out and I'm doing everything for her, what is she gonna learn?
Right, and
or he,
not even just respecting the horse, but respecting, I won't say authority, but having someone tell you how to do something. A lot of kids right now do not have that skill. They, I know everything, and you can't tell me nothing. And, even as adults, like you said, when you take lessons, you kind of have to humble yourself. Like, I thought I knew, but then somebody's on the ground like, no, just stop. So, it's definitely, anybody who has horses knows it is a learning process. It is like 100% investment, in knowing yourself and knowing your own boundaries. Because raising my horse, like, I was like, I have a temper. Like, I have a problem. And I get mad at him, and he's like, I don't know what you want, lady. And I'm like, I have to kind of back myself down. Like, girl, he don't know.
Right.
Like, he simply does not know. And it taught me so much patience and so much just, communicating non-verbally.
Yep.
Like, that's important too, as far as kids are concerned. Just having horses is such a whole body experience, whole mind experience.
Couldn't imagine life without them. Like, dang, what would I be doing? I don't know how y'all live.
I don't know. And it's funny because at work, like, if I have my iPad out or somebody sees my horses, or for whatever reason we start talking about horses, they're like, oh, I've always wanted a horse. Like, oh, and I know how much they pay for their dogs to come to my job just to play, just for playtime, like daycare, like a kid, which I love it by all means.
She's against it,
but like, you can have a whole horse,
right? You don't even know. I think
you don't even know.
I think they cost like thousands. Okay, there are some, but you ain't gotta pay that.
No.
You can go rescue one.
No, I was looking at my friend's Instagram, and she's all about budgeting, and she had her itemized out budget, and it said $375 for a wig.
What?
And I was like, I get it, wigs are expensive if you want a real good one, but my horse was definitely $250.
Wow.
So I feel like you can have a whole horse.
Yes, right now.
Instead of a wig. I just feel like people just don't know. You just simply don't know how affordable it can be. I mean, if you want to be Queen Olympics, then by all means, it's going to cost a little bit more than that, and taking lessons. But if you take care of them the right way, they're not as expensive as they could be,
And if you, that'll be a whole episode talking about like soundness, unsoundness, and all that. Because people, like, we just get horses and like, oh, it look good. Okay, you can ride it. Ain't nothing happen, you buck off. But that horse, whole feet up under itself. Its feet messed up. Its legs cowhocked or whatever. And you doing certain things that horse isn't structured to even do. Just because of how it was bred or how it was raised. Like, we have a horse at the farm. You can clearly look at that horse and tell that somebody must have kept it in the stall most of its life because it's not as big as it should be. Or either they fed it less so it couldn't grow. So it walks really funny. But if you look at her, you be like, oh, she's so pretty. Yeah, she's pretty. But I wouldn't sell her to nobody if they wanted to just trail ride with her. Maybe as a pet.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of times we don't even know stuff like that.
No. And then you're like, oh, I think my horse may be pregnant. Like, how? Like, so you just
Did you let the stud in there?
You just let the stud just be running wild. Just like, I'm not gonna castrate him because castrations cost money. Like, foals cost money.
Right.
You can lose the mare for having a foaling issue. Yeah, we'll have an episode on backyard breeding. Yeah, that'll. I mean, there's strategy to it, and I guess if you don't have a clear goal with your horses, like, anything goes. I guess, like, whether it be racing or barrels or speed events or just trail riding, like, there are standards that you should kind of try to stick to, even with just trail riding.
Or even horse rides. Like, I still have my first horse from when I was in elementary school. Everybody, well, not everybody, but y'all know Goat. And Goat has started losing some weight. She's getting older. And this winter just hit. I'm not using her to carry no child. I don't care how light this child is. I'm not going to put any more stress on her than I need to. She's losing weight. She's going to stay out there in the pasture, and I'm going to keep on feeding her.
Yep.
Until she get better.
Yep.
That's it. Don't y'all be taking these horses to some birthday parties or to no trail rides. Don't do it, please.
Nope.
Feed them. Save that gas money and feed them.
Yeah.
Worm them.
Yes.
Get their teeth floated.
Yes. All of these things, the essentials of horse care, things that, of course, back in the day, like, maybe it didn't matter.
Maybe
the reason it didn't matter is because you didn't have your horse but 5 years, 2, 3 years, 5 years, like, and then you just got another one because they were just super cheap. But I mean, at this point, if you want quality, they're not gonna be crazy cheap. Like, my horse was $250 because I got him at 6 months old. But you know, at this point, we're looking for longevity, and so you got to take care of them to make them last longer. You would want somebody to take care of you,
right?
You know, you go to the dentist so your teeth are right. You don't just
I wonder how many people have seen that in person, like a horse teeth being floated. Or at what age did people know that teeth? I mean, not teeth. That horses even have work done on their teeth.
I don't know. We're gonna have to ask that question. It's gonna be one of the questions in our interviews. But yeah, it'll be. I'm excited. I'm excited for the sheer variety of topics that we can cover. I think as far as, interviews, veterinarians, OGs in the horse world,
I know a lady in Singapore. She's on the Polo Club.
Oh, fun. Yeah, we need to talk to her. We're going to have to figure out the time.
I know, right?
Hey, let's do our podcast at 3 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, I'm super excited, and, we welcome any feedback. This is definitely not supposed to be like old head bashing. I don't know what y'all doing, so we gonna tell you. But like we said earlier, we got standards, and I feel like it's not about this is what the white people do, because I hear that a lot.
Oh my goodness. We gonna kill that right now.
Yes, dead it.
This ain't about that. This is about us being horsemen and women. Because we cannot just be out here looking any kind of way with these horses, or our horses looking any kind of way. We cannot.
Yeah. I mean, you're supposed to take pride in how your horse looks, and I feel like that's how it was. Like, way back in the day, like you take pride in your ride, like, because back in the day they were the car. That was what they were riding. But now, since they aren't, horses are a luxury. People just think like, oh, I'm just not gonna worry about it. We ran out of hay a week ago, but I just ain't gonna worry about it. We'll do it.
Not
we'll
a
get
week
him some
ago.
hay. Yeah. Like, it's just. I can't tell you how many pastures I've ridden by. Like, dang, I could get a square barrel and just throw it in there for that poor baby.
Oh.
But then I'm like, what if they have heaves and can't have hay? What if they da-da-da? What if they have a metabolic issue that they can't da-da-da? And I get this and da-da, And even talking about, like, the best feeds, like, I had a minor in nutrition at State, and so, like, I was all about, like, what am I feeding the horse? What are their nutrient requirements for their workload? You want to trail ride the crap out of these horses, but you're not even feeding any extra grain, and then by the end of the season, your horse is skinny going into wintertime. There's got to be some strategy behind that.
I can't wait to talk about that.
Yes. And there are a lot of people who I do look up to, in the equine community that we have here in this area, and a lot of people that I've met that, I would like to learn a little bit more about. So just because they seem like they are a good example, whether I see them just on social media or sometimes at trail rides, there's definitely some people that need to be on this thing. Be on this.
Definitely.
So, if you want to get involved with us, hit us on our social medias. You can hit us on our personal pages too. And then we'll kind of coordinate from there. In the next couple weeks, we'll be launching the merchandise part. of this podcast. Some cool designs, cool new stuff. I hope you guys will support. It will support the 4-H group, as well as sustaining this podcast. I have a mini craft business on the side called Black Unicorn Creative, and
dope.
yeah, it's super dope. I get it. I like doing crafty things.
She's very creative and professional.
Yes, I try to be professional as long as you are professional with me.
Y'all know what that means.
You know what that means. Yeah, that's a different episode. Let me write that down.
Like, why they laugh the whole time?
I know.
I don't understand how excited this
we're
is.
super excited. I mean,
It's time.
It's time.
Let's talk about it and be about it. Like, that's the other thing. You gotta be about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything we're doing, we said, all right, we're gonna do this, and we did it. We ain't waiting on nothing.
No. And I was listening, leading up to, recording this podcast. I've been obsessed with listening to podcasts. One about how to podcast, because I didn't know.
Podcast about how to podcast.
Podcast about how to podcast. Inception. But also, just like motivational things.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of things that I remember is that this one lady from Side Hustle Pro podcast, she said getting started is better than having it like being perfect or something like that. Getting it done is better than perfection. That's what it was. So she was talking about with her first podcast, she almost didn't even publish it. Like, she did all this work, recorded it, blah blah blah, and then wasn't gonna post it on our launch date.
Wow.
And so it was her talking to her boyfriend, now husband, and he's like, seriously, like, you did all this work, you have a plan, you want to make an impact, why would you back out of that now? She also had this term called analysis paralysis, and I know that I am a perfectionist kind of person, so I have a problem, like, if I don't feel like it's gonna be perfect, like, I'm just not gonna do it, because I don't think I can get it just right, so I'm not gonna do it. And that's just another one of those things I have to get past, because there's a lot of things that I could be doing, or that I wanted to do that I just didn't, because anxiety,
getting into your own head.
Yeah, getting in my own head, like the what ifs, what if this happens instead of what if this happens?
Yeah, a huge difference, and you gotta be careful, because like with Salif and Reed, I almost didn't do this reading tour. Now imagine if I did it. We would just be going about this month and the rest of the year, like,
just
whatever.
Just sharing on social media, like, this Black History fact right here.
And I don't even be reading them. Like, I love that y'all posting them, but I don't read them.
Like,
I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Like,
oh, this one got a horse in it. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But, I mean, and then even if you were to say, like, nobody's going to donate.
Yeah.
Clearly, people have donated.
Yep.
You're reaching your goals, and you don't know if that's gonna not happen until you actually do it.
Just do it.
So,
and I had planned, not this, but I had like a whole maybe 10 pages of just planning stuff. Why do I have 10 pages of planning stuff and I ain't even do nothing? And that was a year ago.
Well, we're gonna have to bust some of them out. It sounds like I got some ideas.
I got ideas for days.
We need some execution on, and that's another thing. Like, especially at my job, we're going through a couple of like some renovation type things, and we've been talking a lot about like teamwork and like our management team and how like we all work together, and we kind of have to play on our strengths and weaknesses. Like, I'm like a creative person and, can do ideas and stuff, but, I wanted to redo the entire bathing room. I got the idea, the picture in my brain of how I want it to look, but how do we get there? Another one of the managers, she is all about execution. She knows how to do stuff. She's like, I don't want to come up with the idea, but you come up with the idea, get all the supplies, and I will bust it out. And I'm like, yes. And then the head of the hospital, she gives us money, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's her function. And she
That's
says
teamwork
yes or
right
no.
there.
It's teamwork.
And we could be doing all that throughout the trail ride circuit and have so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, we got a lot to talk about, but thanks so much for listening.
Yes.
To our first episode.
It's a great start.
Great start. Yeah.
I hope they can hear me.
Yeah. Leave any feedback in the comments below our posts or something like that. We'll be having the podcast hosted on SoundCloud at least. And then we'll be working on trying to get it onto iTunes and a couple of other podcast hosting things. So, it's a learning process. So learn with us, learn from us, and teach us something.
Yes.
All that.
I like that.
All right. I know I just came up with that.